Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, The Lens India Professional Photography. In our earlier video, we have seen some basic features and functions of the camera. We have also studied about the basic modes and the creative modes, where we understood how the creative modes give us an advantage to control the exposure, and we can thus do the photography in much better way. So practically speaking, now we should cover about the second part of the camera, that is the lens, but I'm just taking a break over here to break the sequence, and I will jump directly to the topic of the exposure. Probably everyone is very keen to understand how the exposure control is achieved on the DSLR cameras, or even per se the mirrorless cameras. So in our today's session, without any further ado, let's quickly try to understand how we should set the camera, that is the basic menu settings which are required to execute the basic photography, as well as we will also understand about the ISO, aperture and the shutter speed, which will enable you to control the exposure in better way. Of course, there is a disclaimer to this. I am giving you a very basic idea about the exposure control. It involves a lot of technical know-how or the details to control the exposure. But to start with, definitely these techniques will help you to take your photography to the next level. So let's start with our today's session. So before we jump into the topic of the exposure control and understand what is aperture, shutter speed and ISO, so it is important that we need to do some settings in the camera which are given in the menus of the camera. If you press the menu button in the camera, and we will come across many parameters or the options where we need to set various menu settings. So here I have taken the representative model of Canon and the Nikon. Okay, of course, based on the models, this screen may change slightly, and also depending on the make, the screen will obviously change. But just to understand in better way, I have shown here the screenshots of the Nikon as well as the Canon. So mainly, if you see in Canon, the menu screen is basically divided into 4 parts. So if you see here, so the first part here is basically called as the shooting menu. So you can set many of the parameters which are required while we are capturing the photographs. Then the blue icons here, you will see that this is called as the playback menu. So once you capture the image, if you want to see the captured image, you can basically see the image on the back side of your screen. And to see the image, the way you want to see the image can be set with this playback menus which are available in this settings. The third parameter or the third category what is coming here is the setup menu. So when we are shooting the picture, so there are some setup menus which needs to be set to capture the image, so that we can set over here. And the last one is the my menu. So what are the menus we are setting in this shooting menu or playback menu or setup menu? The whole list of the items we can see at a glance over here just by scrolling the page up and down. So these are the 4 categories which are available in the Canon, and similarly in Nikon we have so many categories which is much more having a wider range in Nikon. So to start with, you can see this is the top page and this is the sub page. Okay, so you can see at the top page you have a playback menu, shooting menu, video menu, custom settings menu, setup menu, retouch menu, functions control. That is basically this is used to assign the shortcut keys which are available on your camera body, and the movie menu settings. So under each main page you have this the screen what will be displayed here is the sub page which will be shown in the Nikon. So there are too many settings, but normally I will basically focus for the basic photography purpose. There are mainly 4 types of settings which are shown in the table below. Okay, so whatever the camera you are using, so go to the menu settings of your camera, and where we need to set this image quality as the maximum resolution of the JPEGs. When you press the button of the image quality, you will see that there are 2 main categories. One is JPEG, another is called as a RAW. So what is RAW? We can I'll make a separate video on what is RAW and what is JPEG. But as of now, to start with the basic photography, let's set this parameter to the JPEG file with the maximum resolution. Many a times in your camera setting, you will have some settings like where the pixel dimensions are mentioned. Particularly in Canon, they mentioned as the small, medium, and large. Okay, so small means where whatever the image you capture, that captured image will be of the less megapixel size, or the file size will be lesser. And the more you click the large image file, so the file size will increase. And I have seen many a times that many camera users normally tend to set it this JPEG file resolution to the lowest so that they can capture the photographs. But don't do that, because my recommendation here is that if you are selecting the small JPEG file size, then definitely you are going to lose some picture quality. So always set this JPEG file to the maximum resolution. The same is the case with even the Nikon. Set this image quality to maximum resolution of the JPEG. Second parameter is about the metering modes. Metering modes, you have mainly 3 or 4 metering modes which are available in your camera menu settings. So that depends on which of these menu settings it is available. So you can refer your camera manuals to search this. Particularly in case of Canon, it is called as the evaluative type of metering, and in Nikon, it is called as a matrix type of metering. So you can set this metering modes respectively in your camera which is owned by you. The third parameter, what you can call it as the color space. Now, color space, you will find two options available in your menu settings, which is one is the sRGB and another is Adobe RGB. Now, what are these two settings? Just to quickly tell you, sRGB setting is something when you are going to see these captured images on the digital media or the screen. So in that case, you can use sRGB. If you are going for the print media, then obviously it is highly recommended that you shoot it on the Adobe RGB. Otherwise, by and large, in most of the times, you need to set your camera color space to sRGB. The fourth parameter which is important is called as the white balance. WB is nothing but the white balance. So I'll make a separate video again in detail to understand what is white balance. But for basic photography purpose, just remember this term as a white balance and set this parameter to daylight, or sometimes it is also called as a direct sunlight. So these are the 4 important settings what we need to set in the menu of our camera, and with these settings we are good to go and capture the images. So now let's move on. So let's try to understand how the exposure is controlled. Okay, so you can see some of the letters which I have written: bright and weak light. Okay, so let's try to understand one by one. So we have mainly two situations: we have a very bright light or we have a weak light. So with respect to that, just consider this one parameter of the light as of now. Okay, so let's talk about the aperture first. Okay, so in aperture, what is the aperture? Aperture is basically nothing but the hole opening in the camera lens. Okay, which is specified by some number. Okay, so you can see some numbers which are ranging from f1.4 to f22. So f1.4 being the smallest number and f22 being the largest number. Okay, so as a thumb rule, you can assume that when we are shooting in a bright light situation, the more the light is brighter, you can use the higher aperture values, and more the light is weaker, you can use it the lower aperture value. So what does it mean? So when we are setting our camera on f1.4, that means the hole becomes big. So the aperture opens very wide and it allows maximum light to enter into the camera. On the contrary, when we are setting our camera to f22, so that means the aperture hole is becoming very small. That is the narrow opening we normally call it in photography. And when we are shooting in a bright light situation, we need to close down the aperture or narrow down the aperture so that the less amount of light will enter and allow us to achieve the control on the exposure. So as I mentioned, so aperture is nothing but the basically it controls the amount of light which is allowed to fall on the sensor, and another second function what aperture allows us to do is to control the depth of field. Now depth of field is again something, shortly if you ask me what is this, so depth of field is nothing but, you might have heard the term called as a bokeh, right? So when uh, we are using the aperture with the minimum value, that is for example f1.4, f2 or f2.8, so you can get a maximum blur in the background or the foreground of the subject, and that is what we call it as a bokeh. Okay, so that is nothing but depth of field. So with the lesser number of the aperture, okay, we are going to get the less depth of field. That is the only limited or a certain part of our image is going to be sharp. Rest everything will be out of focus or blur. The moment we shift our aperture from f1.4 to and we gradually go to f22, we will get the maximum amount of sharpness in the image. Okay, so even the background and the foreground will start becoming sharp, and the bokeh effect will start reducing. So just in a simple terms, I want to explain this. So this is how we control the depth of field. Okay. Next is about the shutter speed. Now, what is shutter speed? So shutter speed is nothing but, this is basically a parameter which allows us to set the time for the light which is falling on the sensor. Okay, so this is one of the mechanical function of the shutter speed. So if you see the shutter speed which I've mentioned over here, it is starting from the 30 seconds and it is going to the fraction of second as fast as 1 by 8,000. So 1 by 8,000 is the very fastest shutter speed, and the slowest shutter speed what is available in camera is 30 seconds. So this timing we can control depending on the light. So when we are shooting in a very bright light situation, so we can increase our shutter speed, and when we are shooting in a very weak light situation or in dark situations, we need to use the slower shutter speeds. So that what we are doing this, what is happening based on this change in the shutter speed. So that means we are controlling the time, okay, for which the light is falling on the sensor. Faster the shutter speed, we are allowing very less time to fall on the sensor, and slower the shutter speed, we are allowing light to fall for the maximum time on the sensor. So that is how we capture the image. So this is one of the simple phenomena which is happening with the help of shutter speed. The third parameter what we have in the camera to control the exposure is the ISO. And now what is this ISO? ISO is nothing but the same term what we are using related to like the ISO 9001, ISO 9000, 2001 version or whatever it is. So many manufacturing companies are using this term as the ISO, or probably some of the service providers you might have seen that they are ISO 9000 certified organizations. So this is nothing but the International Organization for Standardization. So uh, whatever the digits or the figures which are mentioned over here in terms of in terms of the camera settings over here, so you can see the number like 100, 200, 400, and it goes to up to 12,800. Now in some cameras you will also find that 25,600 is also the setting. So what is this ISO? So ISO is nothing but it is the light sensitivity what we talk about. Now this light sensitivity is mainly related to the sensor of the camera. So if you see the lower the number, less is the sensitivity of the sensor, and higher the number, higher is the sensitivity of the sensor towards the light, right? So when we are shooting in a very bright light situation, so this so we need to keep the ISO setting as 100. So that means the sensor is becoming very less sensitive to the light, and when we are shooting in a dark situation, we can increase our ISO and shoot. But now you will see that I have shown in the figure over here that this part is the shaded part. Okay, so the moment we start increasing our ISO, what happens is that it starts deteriorating the quality of the image, and you can see some grains. So I have represented some grains over here. So the noise that we call it as a noise, and this starts when this noise starts coming in the picture, so the quality of the picture is deteriorated. So the optimal setting always what is recommended is as 100. So now let's assume that we are going to shoot at ISO 100. Now, in some cameras, you can find the values which are below 100, and in some cameras, you will find that some camera settings start, they don't have this 100 as the ISO setting, but they start with 200. So, fine, 200 is also a good enough setting to start with. But if you have the ISO as 100, it is always recommended to use this value. Okay, so these are the three settings which normally are used to control the exposure while capturing the picture. But for now, if you ask me, so my recommendation is that we will always try to shoot the picture at ISO 100. Of course, when we are trying to shoot the picture at ISO 100, we will have some limitations to capture the picture, but definitely we will be able to maintain a good quality of the pictures what we will capture. Okay. So for time being, we will exclude this ISO from our exposure control topic, and we will only consider the topic of aperture and the shutter speed, and we will, assuming the base as ISO 100, we will try to only set the exposure with the shutter speed and aperture. So let's move on to the next topic, which will explain you what to set first and when. Okay, so now when we are talking about the exposure control, definitely you will have a question in your mind that suppose if I'm setting ISO as at 100, so now the only parameters left with me is the aperture as well as the shutter speed. So should I set the aperture first while capturing the picture, or should I set the shutter speed while capturing the picture, and how do I control the exposure? Okay, so let's quickly try to understand with this flow chart. So first of all, identify what subject you are shooting. Okay, when I'm saying what subject you are shooting, you need to identify whether the subject is moving or whether the subject is steady. So normally when whatever type of scenes we are shooting, so let it be landscape, let it be portrait, let it be sports, whatever it is. So we have two types of subject mainly in front of us when we are shooting. We have one subject as a moving subject, or another subject is a steady. Even if it is little bit slow moving or slightly moving subject, we can fairly treat them as the steady subject if they are not moving too fast. If they are sitting on chair, they are just moving around, so you can consider them as a steady subject, standstill subjects, so that they can freeze for a moment when we are shooting. But moving subjects, when we are talking about, is that they are not fixed at one position. They are continuously changing their position. That is what is by and large what I'm trying to explain here. Now, if the subject is moving, okay, we have two options, whether we want to freeze the motion, okay. You can see the sample photograph which is shown here, that the lady is jumping and we have freeze the motion. Okay. Another situation is that whether we have to blur the motion. If you see the subject background of the subject, you will see that there are some trails going on, and some background is blurry, and it gives you a feel, or it is creating the effect of having some motion, that the object is moving over here. Whereas on the left hand side image where the girl is jumping, you will see that she is properly freezed. Okay, even the background is freezed, everything is freezed properly. So whether we want to freeze the motion or whether we want to blur the motion. So for that, if you decide that you want to freeze the motions, you need to select your shutter speed with the faster shutter speeds. If you want to blur the motion, you need to select your shutter speeds at this lower shutter speeds. Okay. So that means what we are saying here is that set the shutter speed first, right? So what will happen when we set the shutter speed? The other parameter what is left out with you is to set the aperture. So just try to adjust the aperture so that the uh, if you see through the viewfinder, the scale comes to the 0 in the center. So the center light is lit. Okay, so that is how we set the aperture first. Set the shutter speed first, and we adjust the exposure by adjusting the aperture. Right. Now let's look at the example when it is steady. So if we want everything sharp, right, from the foreground to background, everything sharp, that is what we call it as a great depth of field. We have to narrow down our aperture. Okay, that means if you remember the earlier slide, that is, we move from f1.4 to f22. So like f16, f8, f16, and so on and so forth. So your depth of field starts increasing. So you need to narrow open the aperture so that you get a great depth of field. Or suppose if you want to have a shallow depth of field, that is the bokeh effect, you need to open your aperture wide. That means you need to use smaller number aperture, that is f1.4 to 2.8, something like that, so that your background and foreground becomes blur and the main subject is tack sharp. So what we are trying to say with this? Okay, so we are saying that set the aperture first when the subject is steady, and decide whether you want a great depth of field or a shallow depth of field. Once you determine on that, okay, and then what are the other remaining parameter is there, that is the shutter speed. You need to set your shutter speed and you need to set your exposure to 0, right? So this is how we can decide what is need to be set first and what is need to be second. So if you remember the camera modes which I have explained in my earlier video, that we have 4 creative modes, that is the program mode, then TV mode, that is the time value mode, or the shutter priority mode, or maybe A mode, that is the aperture priority mode, or AV mode, which is also called as aperture value mode, and the manual mode. So the same concept goes with the TV mode. So suppose if we are shooting some moving object, we will set the camera in the TV or T mode, and if you are shooting the moving objects, steady objects, then we will set the camera to the aperture priority mode or the AV mode. So we will give the preference to the aperture when we are shooting the steady objects, and when the objects are moving, we will give the preference to the shutter first, right? So this is how we determine, and what are the balance remaining parameter available with us is that we will set the exposure with that remaining uh, parameter, right? So this is the simplest concept what we can use, or the simplest thought process what we can use while controlling the exposure. Now let's see some of the examples. So when we are shooting, probably now, although I have explained you in our earlier slide just now that what to set first, okay, probably, and you might have seen that there is a list of apertures or these various settings which are available in the camera as well as for the shutter speed. So what to set when? So by and large, I have tried to give you the presets over here, so that can give you a fair judgment on what to shoot and what type of subject you are shooting and what settings you can keep when you are shooting that specific subject. Now you can see that we have 3 parameters, that is ISO, shutter speed and aperture, right? And we have decided that we will keep our ISO as ISO 100. So as I mentioned in my earlier slide, I have mentioned that when we are shooting at a bright sunlight, so we need to reduce the sensitivity of the sensor, and we normally keep this ISO setting at ISO 100. The more we are situation in the dark situations, we need to increase the ISO. Okay. But see what happens here is that when we are shooting, for example, we have a situation like cloudy or the overcast skies, we can use ISO between 200 to 400. But then see what I have mentioned here is that it starts creating some noise. So when the image starts capturing the noise, your quality of image deteriorates. Similarly, when we are shooting something in indoors, that in the room, or when we are shooting sports, or when we are shooting in dark or dim light, so see the ISO keeps on increasing. And when it is too dark situation, probably we may have to set our ISOs to 3200 to 6400 and beyond that also. But then in all situations, you will see that the noise will start coming in your picture. So higher the ISO, higher the noise, and the poor is the quality of your image. And that is why I have been emphasizing that we will keep our ISO setting at ISO 100 and we will not move this setting. So what are the left out parameters we have is the shutter speed and aperture. Now let's recollect the earlier slide, that when we are shooting something as a steady object, okay, we can use the aperture as a priority, and when it is moving object, we can use the shutter as a priority. So now let's talk about the shutter speed. So anything, suppose we want to use the shutter speed somewhere, it is the fraction of second, that is the half of 1 second, 1 by 2. So this situation normally when we are using something like when we have a subject in motion, or when we have a dark light scenario. So in such scenarios we can set this slower shutter speed. If we want to blur the motion, so if you recollect that I have mentioned that blur the motion or freeze the motion. So if you want to freeze the motion of a moving object, we can set shutter speed between 1 by 2 seconds to 1 by 60 seconds. Okay, so that whatever image you capture will get blur. Example like water, flowing water, or maybe a running person, or maybe a person riding a bike, something like this. When we want to shoot portrait or any still objects, we can comfortably use shutter speed which is ranging between 1 by 60 to 1 by 250. If we want to freeze the slow moving objects, we don't want the blur in the motion. Okay, in that case, we have to use shutter speed which is ranging between 1 by 250 to 1 by 500. Particularly when we are shooting something very unstable objects like kids or birds, or probably when the sports where continuously the actions are changing. Okay, in that case we need to, or probably in even the wildlife, we need to basically select the shutter speeds which are ranging between 1 by 5000 to 1 by 1000. And when the subject is very fast, then we can select some shutter speed ranging between 1 by 1000 to 1 by 4000. In some cameras, you may have even the setting of 1 by 8000. Even you can go for that. So this is how we can select the shutter speed first based on the situation. Now, when we are talking about the aperture, okay, so we have seen that when the object is steady, so we need to give the priority first to the aperture. So now we have seen the apertures which start reading with the f1.4, but there are apertures which are available which starts with 1.2. Now that depends on the lens make and the model. Okay, so now let's assume that any aperture which is ranging between f1.2 to 3.5, that is the wide open aperture, where we want a bokeh effect, that is the foreground and background blur with respect to the subject, and want subject only in sharp zone. So we can select these apertures to blur the background. Like examples, what we can consider here is that when we are shooting flowers or portraits, okay, where we normally tend to keep the low depth of field or the shallow depth of field. So in such cases, these apertures are very useful. Now, when we don't want too much of bokeh effect or the blur effect in the background or the foreground, we can slightly increase the aperture ranging between f3.5 to f6.3. And we can set the aperture where we want, we can call it as a moderate depth of field. We can select these apertures. And particularly when we are shooting subjects like landscapes, architecture, or still life, where we want everything sharp in our image. Okay, so we need to select our aperture something between f6.3 to f32, where we normally term this phenomena as achieving the great depth of field. Okay. So this is how we set the aperture. Now, as I explained you, now for example, if I am shooting the portrait, right? So let's assume that I am shooting the portrait. I know the portrait is very still, okay, and is not going to move so fast. Almost the person is sitting on the chair. Probably he is moving, or he or she is moving slightly, but still that is fine. They are still considered to be the steady one, as long as their movement is not too fast. You can comfortably set the shutter speed between 1 by 60 to 250, and probably if the light is good, then you can select this aperture ranging between f3.5 to 6.3 and ensure that the scale, what you see in the viewfinder, is coming to the 0. So this is how we set the exposure and we capture our images. So well, you have understood how this shutter speed, aperture and ISO plays very important role in controlling the exposure, and I am sure that this will help you to achieve the better control on your exposure while taking the photographs. If you feel that you have learned something from this video, please don't forget to hit the like, share this video with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe our channel and hit the bell icon button so that you can get the new notifications whenever we upload the video. Thank you so much.